How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Last Seat Podcast. It's your boy John. Obviously, as you can see, I'm solo today, but we're still gonna get it going. I just want to appreciate all the support and the love that the page as a whole has gotten lately. The pod, our YouTube, our TikTok. We got a new logo coming in. We obviously showed it on the page. You can see it on our YouTube channel and our profile picture. We're real excited about that. I really think it's what I mean? It's a great thing, not even just, I think it's a better logo, but also, too, I think it's like a symbol that we're going to be a lot more consistent with our content, all that type of stuff. So appreciate all the love. And also, too, if you do want to be a guest on the show, you're a loyal listener, please hit me up, hit Ty up, whatever. If you're really interested in that sort of thing, maybe we can work something out. Definitely trying to find more people that want to talk hoops with me during the playoffs. That is something I really want to see. But without further ado, we obviously see that my Knicks are going to be playing against the Sixers in the second round. So let's get it going. So the recap, the first round, at least for my Knicks, obviously things were rocky to begin the first few games. The Knicks were at a 2-1 hole. As you saw, I was really frustrated with them just because I felt Atlanta wasn't close to being on our level. I mean, we were letting a 34-year-old CJ McCollum, of all people, threaten to, basically end this era of the Knicks, and it just what was not acceptable to me. I'm glad the Knicks on those last three games really took it to the Hawks. All three of them were blowouts. Should have been only like a 5-game series at most. I think we should have swept them. But, I mean, the series is over. You know what I mean? We made the necessary adjustments. I think the Knicks at the end of that series kind of really strong-armed their way to win that series. They really took advantage of the Hawks' weaknesses. They finally saw, Dyson Daniels can't shoot. Let's take advantage of that. Jalen Johnson's only a rhythm shooter. Let's take advantage of that. Let's take advantage of our size. I don't think Jock Landale would have made much of a difference, but the Hawks were forced to play that, I can't even pronounce his name, Guy or something, or they had to play Bradley a couple of times. The Hawks' lack of size, or at least lack of good size, was something the Knicks were able to take advantage of. You have guys like Cat, Mitchell Robinson, just able to have their way. OG just, won his matchup of Jalen Johnson on both ends. In my opinion, OG was the best player in that series. I think he's been one of the best players in the playoffs so far. But we'll get more into my Knicks shortly. But let's talk a little bit about the Sixers, the team that we are going to be playing in this round. A little bit unexpected. I was expecting Boston. As the series winded down, though, I'm not going to lie, looking at things, I kind of wish we were playing Boston because the Sixers, I mean, they look really good right now. They finally got really healthy. I was thinking of them as a sleeping giant the whole year. I didn't think they would ever really get healthy. Who knows if Embiid even plays a full 7-game series here. I don't think he does. I just think it's impossible for him at this point in his career. But we shall see what happens there. But yeah, the Sixers, to me, if you're really looking up and down, if you really think about it, up and down between them and the Celtics, I really think that the Sixers, you can argue, have a lot more talent, especially when you talk about Edgecombe. You know what I mean? I think Edgecombe is their X factor. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's still young, but he's just so explosive, can get going. You saw the splits, especially in the first round series. When Edgecombe shoots the ball well, they win. So we're going to get more in the Edgecombe, talk about matchups here, which I'm going to do right now. So, matchups, I have a lot of questions. My main question that I am asking is, where does Jalen Brunson go in this series? You were able to hide him on Dyson Daniels last series. He really struggled guarding CJ McCollum. You have to wonder, does he struggle guarding VJ Edgecombe? There's no way you put him on Tyrese Maxey. There's no way you can do that. So are you putting him on Edgecombe? That's a possibility, but he can still struggle with that as well. Edgecombe's really explosive. He's not going to be afraid to go at Brunson. There's also a possibility you put him on Kelly Oubre. Now, that's something that maybe I would be more inclined to look into, but you have to factor in that Kelly Oubre is 6'8". I would, but I'm not saying that Oubre is a bad offensive player by any means, but it's not like he's their top option on the Sixers. So if you do put Brunson on him and the Sixers are saying like, hey, we're going to beat you with Kelly Oubre, I think that's something that if you're the Knicks that you kind of accept. So that's definitely a matchup that I really want to see where they open up Brunson at. And especially at the end of last series, they were really just taking advantage of the fact that Dyson Daniels is a complete zero on offense. Like, they were not even paying attention to him when he was touching the ball on perimeter. And to get Brunson out of bad matchups, even on switches, they would just blitz away from Dyson Daniels and basically just force the ball into his hands. I don't think the Sixers really have that guy that they're going to put in, at least, that you're going to be able to take advantage of like that. Kelly Oubre is like the biggest possibility, but I don't think Kelly Oubre is as big a zero as Dyson Daniels. Kelly Oubre is a decent 3-point shooter. He's definitely not shooting like, what was it? Dyson Daniels is probably shooting like 10% on the season from three in the regular season. So that's, let's put it like this. The Knicks are not going to be able to get away with a lot of the stuff they did against the Hawks. They will against the Sixers. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot different game plan that they're going to have to figure out, and they're going to have to figure out fast. And I think they know that. Another thing, the big thing for the Knicks is you got to take advantage of Joel Embiid on defense. The guy can't move laterally anymore. He can't move on defense like he used to. You got to take advantage of that. Even in the last game against Boston, I felt they did a good. Boston basically said like, "Hey, we're not stopping Embiid. We're going small." It would have worked if Boston would have made the threes because that was what they were getting. They were getting a lot of open shots off the action of, you know what I mean, taking advantage of Embiid's speed. They had to help. Boston was getting open threes, but they just weren't making them in Game 7. But you have to hope as a Knicks that you can make those shots, and also too, I want to see the two-man game of Brunson and Cat. This is something that has been inconsistent throughout the season. For sometimes we go away from it. I don't understand why, but if Embiid's going in drop coverage and he's guarding Cat and Brunson run a pick and roll, run pick and pops, whatever you got to do. Brunson should be able to take advantage of that all day. If Embiid's playing drop coverage on Brunson, I'd imagine Brunson should be able to drop 30 a game easy in this series. I mean, I think it's an obvious thing to go to. Another obvious thing, Cat's got to attack him off the dribble, all that type of stuff. I think Cat is very capable of that. Put the ball in his hands, let him initiate, and see if you can create something. We were letting him initiate a lot more towards the end of the Hawks series. It's something I would love to see. I want to see Cat be aggressive. Vice versa. How do you defend Joel Embiid? So I think we do match up a lot better than the Celtics did, especially since Cato was dealing with injuries towards the end of the series, and you got Cat starting against him, and you also have Mitchell Robinson, who is one of the best defensive bigs in the league, and Mitch has had some success in the past in the playoffs against Joel Embiid playing defense, but I really want to see if they put this one wrinkle in here, and that's putting OG Anunoby on Joel Embiid. Now, is this an adjustment that Mike Brown makes? Because this is an adjustment that Tom Thibodeau did make a couple years ago, if people remember. He would put OG Anunoby on Joel Embiid. He did it most notably in Game 4 of that series, I believe, which was a big turning point of the Knicks going up 3-1 and ended up winning that series. So you have to wonder, and I think Anunoby can do a good job on Embiid. Jaylen Brown was having success a couple times against Embiid in that Game 7 against when they were playing against the Sixers. But, Jaylen Brown is not the defender, at least down low, that OG Anunoby. I think OG Anunoby can cause a lot more issues, get some steals, be aggressive with Embiid, maybe even front him at times, show him a whole lot of different looks. And OG is, obviously strong. I think he can hold some weight against Embiid. And another thing you can do is, if the Sixers are playing a non-shooter and you have Mitch and OG in the game and you have OG on Embiid, you can have Mitch play some help. Maybe you put Mitch on Oubre and maybe you get like work on your rotations with that. You know what I mean? But maybe you can have Mitch play help side. You can have Cat play help side on Embiid, to whereas like if OG plays Embiid early, denies him a catch, but Embiid still catches it, you still have help over the top. with Mitch or Cat. So that is something I would like to see that wrinkle put in. I don't know if that's going to be the main defensive strategy against Embiid, but it's something I would like to see them go to at times just to throw some different looks. But my main concern is guarding Tyrese Maxey for obvious reasons. I think Tyrese Maxey is the best player in the Sixers right now. I just feel all around, I don't feel Embiid can be your offensive engine for a whole game anymore. It's just a fact of the way things are. Obviously, Embiid is still very deadly, as we saw in the later on, especially in the Celtics series. But Tyrese Maxey, I mean, who are we putting on him? Josh Hart obviously did a very good job when we switched him on to CJ McCollum after Game 3 of last series. But that's a 34-year-old CJ McCollum against, however old Tyrese Maxey is obviously a lot younger. I don't know the exact age, obviously, but guy in the prime of his career, great player, great guard. I definitely do not want to see us play drop coverage if they go to that two-man game with Maxey and Embiid. That's going to be their main point of attack. Obviously, that's what I would do if I was the Sixers. I would test out the Knicks defense with that. Wouldn't see why they would go away from it. They did it against the Celtics. They're probably going to try it against us. But yeah, I would like to see how the matchups play out in general. I would like to think you're probably maybe putting Josh Hart and Maxey. Also depends on who you want to put on Paul George as well. It's going to be either Hart. I think Hart and Bridges are going to be getting those two. I just don't know which is which right now. It's going to be very interesting to see how the matchups shake out with that. My X factors, I got one on both teams. My X factor for the Knicks this series is going to be Miles McBride. His shot has been inconsistent ever since he's came back from injury. He's still kind of like trying to find his footing ever since that injury, trying to get his shot good. He had one good game against the Hawks last series. That was the game that we almost came back and won in Game 3. Then after that game, there was talks of McBride possibly getting in the starting lineup over Bridges. Never happened. It was an adjustment that wasn't needed, and the Knicks still won the series. But I want to see, the Knicks could use some help off the bench this series because I think the Knicks are a deeper team than Philly if everyone's, full systems go. And I think that's an advantage that the Knicks have to take advantage of. My X factor for the Sixers, I think I already pointed this out, is VJ Edgecombe. Talk about the shooting splits of him against the Celtics last series. When he shoots the ball well, Sixers win. If he doesn't, it's a lot harder for them to win it. And especially if the Knicks are putting Brunson on Edgecombe, if I'm Nick Nurse, I'm telling him you have to test that matchup out. Like, I'm going to be wanting Edgecombe to be very aggressive, all that type of stuff. I think Edgecombe really, when he's at his best, obviously I know he's a young player, like I said, but he just adds a whole other element to the Sixers team. And he's a big reason why I think the Sixers do have the level of talent now that they never really had before. We can talk about that Sixers team from 2 years ago the Knicks played, but I think the Sixers are a more talented team right now. You have Paul George instead of Tobias Harris. I guess you can call that a wash at best from the Knicks perspective. I think Paul George is still a better player than Tobias Harris, but we can talk about contracts and whatever. But player for player, especially the way Paul George is playing lately, I would have to say Paul George is a better player. And then you just add in having VJ Edgecombe, who I think is going to be a star player in this league. Having him and Maxey as your future backcourt, what more can you ask for if you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan right now? So that's definitely weighing on my mind as a Knicks fan, is how VJ Edgecombe is going to be able to perform in this series. Last thing. Well, not really last thing, but last matchup I am looking forward to is the matchup of coaches. Nick Nurse against Mike Brown. So Mike Brown definitely did a much better job towards the end of the series. I've been very skeptical, all that type of stuff. I haven't been happy with Mike Brown at a lot of points this season, but I must say he made some good adjustments towards the end. He used the Knicks' talent to our advantage finally, and the Knicks played very well. But this is going to be a whole other beast, and you're playing he's up against a coach like Nick Nurse, who He's known for making in-series adjustments in a 7-game series. How are we going to respond to that? How is that chess match going to play out? Nick Nurse, obviously last series we saw it. We saw it mainly in the Toronto year he won of Toronto. Milwaukee was down two. He was down 2-0 to Milwaukee, and the Toronto came back and won that series. He's really very well known for making good adjustments. He's a technician. Sixers are down 3-1 to Boston last series. Made some adjustments, and look where they are now. So, seeing that chess match play out between him and Mike Brown, I think this is the ultimate test for Mike Brown. This is, to me, going to tell me if the Knicks made the right move hiring him after letting go of Tom Thibodeau. If Mike Brown is able to stand up to Nick Nurse, I'm feeling a lot better about the decision to bring him in. Because I think the Sixers are also a very talented team like us, and I think they have the horses to be able to go. And I think this is going to be a great series. Now, how great of a series do I think it's going to be? I have to say, I think this might be the best series of the playoffs so far. At first, I originally said that I felt when the Knicks and the Celtics played each other, I felt that was going to be the best series of the playoffs. It's looking like the Knicks are still going to be the best series in the playoffs, in my opinion, but they're playing the Sixers instead. I think this is, like I said, this is a team. These are two teams that have the talent to be able to go all the way. I think the winner of this series is going to be going to the NBA Finals. But my final prediction is going to be the Knicks win this in 7 games. This is going to be a very good series. There's going to be back and forth, but I think the Knicks win in 7 at MSG in a classic. I think it's going to be a close Game 7 as well. But I just want to thank everyone. I'm going to end off with this. I just want to thank everyone that watched this video, has been tuning in. Appreciate y'all so much. If you haven't already, please hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button as well. We are at 72 subscribers on the page. Trying to get to 100 by the end of summer would be a huge milestone for us. So if you can just tap that subscribe button, would help us out a lot. But until next time, this is the Last Seed Podcast. Peace out.